In this video, we are assembling the Cupid Gnome box. So the box in its original design is a 2x2. The height is 2 1/4, so 2x2 by 2 1/4. I've left the pieces as 2 separate pieces so that it can be made bigger. So just group all your pieces together and resize it all at the same time. The proportions should be correct for you. So this box is able to be made bigger. But I like it this size. It's just the right size for like a treat for a Valentine's party or something like that. It doesn't take too much stuff to fill it up. So you can do this box with just the front, or you can make a front and a back. The back piece is completely optional, and so you just do whatever your preference is there with this box. Again, the box itself is just a simple little box. Goes together very quickly, as you can see. There's nothing fancy about it. You could use this little guy here as a scrapbook embellishment. Use them on a different type of card front. So there's the box. And we'll just set that aside. So let's work on our gnome. So with him, I am going to start with his bow because I'm going to use some trendy twine, and I'm going to make a string for his bow. So the first thing I have to do is put my bow and arrow together. And it's just these 4 pieces. It's the bow, the arrow, the stick, and a heart. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. Now, I've said before, I like trendy twine because it's not too thick and it's twisted really tight so that the twist stays together. I probably haven't used this in 6 months, and you see my twist here is still pretty much together. So a lot of other twines I've tried are either wind up being too thick to use on little things like this, or it unravels as soon as it's cut. Okay. So now I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to work on my gnome. So I did not get out any red. And let's use a little bit of black maybe. I'm just going to ink the edges a little bit. Okay, do the same thing with the pieces for the back. Then I'm going to use a blue for my hair pieces. And his wings. Now the file does come with wing pieces if you want to cut them and use them. I'm just going to use, I cut my background in white, so for me I have my wings. But the file does come with them if you want to do that. I made his beard in the shape of a heart. I thought that would be cute since he's Cupid. You can't really tell when it's put together, but just knowing that his beard is a heart, I think that's kind of cute. That's all white pieces. And then on his flesh colored pieces, I'm going to go over the edges with pink. I just use vanilla for my flesh, so I like to peach it up a little bit with the pink. Okay, so now I'm done inking. And I can put his back together. So what you need to make sure of is that you have cut your pieces the right way and that you're going to be doing a mirror image because you want the outside to be part that has I just want to make sure that I get the hair up high enough. Looks good. So again, putting the back on this box is completely optional. But you want to make sure you're putting your pieces so everything's going to be mirror imaged for the back. This didn't cut out very well. I thought I got all my little tabs. It didn't cut out. Okay, so that's the back. Now for his front, the same thing. We're going to start with his clothes. Oops. Then his face, you're going to put just at the top of that curve, okay? The next piece you're going to want to put on is his hat, because his beard and his mustache come up over the edge of his hat. So we're going to put that on next. And I think I'm going to put this on with some foam tape and give him a little bit of dimension here. Because these gnomes are so simple in their design, they're a lot cuter when you add a little bit of dimension. Make sure I get this on correctly. There we go. And I think I am going to tuck the beard. Now you want it to go just to the bottom of him. So it goes like that. Okay, so there's his beard. His mustache I am going to pop with some foam tape. And I'm going to cut it in half. Now these squares, these are the squares that I get at the Dollar Tree. Because I know foam tape gets very expensive. Then you just want the edges of his mustache to come up over the top of his hat, okay? Just like that. And then his nose just goes there in the center of his mustache. There we are. He's coming together quite nicely. He has a little heart here that goes on the tip of his hat, if you want to use it. And now let's bring in his bow and arrow. So I'm going to cut these strings just below, and I'm going to put on his hands, because I'm also going to pop his hands, and I'm going to hide the foam tape behind his hands. Okay, so I'm going to put it about there, but I'm going to cut my foam tape and put it right behind his hands. Oops. And I might need to apply him to the box before I put his bow and arrow on. So I would suggest putting your glue on the box itself so that you don't have to worry about glue showing where it shouldn't. And then he just fits right down there on the bottom. And turn him over, apply some pressure. And do the same for the back. Okay. Now, while he's laying down, I'm going to put his bow and arrow on. You just want to make sure you don't go below the bottom of the box when you're applying this. And so there you have your Cupid Gnome box. Thank you for joining me.